just a hack. He's just an absolute hack. And he gets his ass kicked by his teammates every week. It's just, it's terrible. It's just terrible.
Jeez, that's not what I wanted to start on.
We're back.
I'm trying to talk about
Talking to me about what?
gains.
All right, shut up. We're back. FCS Football Podcast. Two former FCS football players, Joe DeLeone, Sean Anderson. We've gotten a lot of traction over the past few days, Sean, and big shout out to all of our listeners who have been tuning in. And we're obviously excited about this weekend's slate of games. Sean, it's really weird, though, this week. I want to get your thoughts on this because there's 3 games on Friday. There's 1 game on Saturday. And I don't know if I like that or not. Part of me thinks, okay, we've got our own day, which is good. But also, the realist in me hates
There's not
it.
anything going on Saturday. All right, there's Army
There's
Navy.
1 fucking game. There's 1 game on Saturday, and that's the competition. That the Army Navy game is the competition for these 3 games. I don't know why this is on. It's gonna be harder to watch these 3 games on Friday than it is to watch them if they were throughout the day on Saturday. So I don't totally get
It's
that.
frustrating. It's frustrating knowing that the competition slate this weekend is virtually nothing. You have early college basketball, which doesn't matter, and it's stupid. It's a stupid way to do it. And maybe once all this stuff happens, and I know we're kind of in a purgatory with the FBS dealing with their own nonsense and their playoff realignment, and they're working those schedules to make sure all the competition is even, competing with the NFL. We're going to do it on Sundays. We're going to do this, that. So we're kind of in a purgatory.
Well, the FCS doesn't give a shit at all.
But
about
right
any
now,
of that.
the FCS should be giving a shit, and it's frustrating that you're like, oh, what's going on Saturday? I'm hungover. I can wait until Army Navy, or here. Oh, look at this, a playoff game. There's football on my TV. It's gonna end soon. It is December. All right. So in your calendar for football, it's shoot depressing to think about. You have 2 more months of football. You have 2 more months.
Yeah.
Every day
I'm
that you have it on matters.
I'm just annoyed though. Like, I get the Friday games is fine. If we had a couple, if 2 of them were on Friday, 2 of them were on Saturday, and I believe in the past it was kind of like that, or if it was 1 on Friday, 3 on Saturday, I was looking forward to the anticipation of, like on Saturday, there's no distractions. There's no big conference championship games for FBS that we need to be tracking. There's no distractions. We can actually sit down, full focus on all these games, and we can give probably the best reaction we're going to give all season because we're not distracted by any of these games. I'm not watching Army Navy if there's FCS playoff games on. Are you shitting me?
Not even close.
Instead, we've got 2 games that kick off after 10 o'clock on Friday, and I know somebody in the comments is gonna have a full explanation, like an essay. Well, it's actually because of the farming schedule that these games are being played on Friday. But
yeah, you love taking shots at the farmers, but at this point,
I'm not taking shots at the farmers. A lot of our listeners are farmers.
Yeah, I've had to point that out to you.
We have discussed multiple times with our head of business on Hack City on strategic partnership.
Oh, have we? How's he doing? I haven't heard from him in a while.
Yeah, we need to.
My 2% is just floating in the ether.
He's fully equipped with everything and our best month yet of performance. So I need to have a talk with him. We should have a strategic partnership with FarmersOnly.com. I think that should be, or like John Deere.
Are you going to be doing this hack stuff all day?
No, it's not. That's not hack stuff. How cool would that be if those were the sponsors of our show?
It would be very cool. It would be.
Okay.
It's
better than the original idea that I had that I pitched to that one of my friends is gonna. You know the one I'm talking about?
I think so. Here's the thing. You've mentioned it a couple times about how good the month has been, and all the listeners tuning in for the playoffs. We do a show year round. So stick around. There's a lot of fun stuff outside of the season.
Yeah.
I know a lot of you are just very big football fans. We kind of talk football all the way the year around. So if you like what we've been doing, you'll probably still like it somewhat, or you'll be able to tolerate it until football season starts again next year. So just a little disclaimer to stick around. All right.
Yes.
Because there's been some lonely winters. we like being able to interact and do all this fun stuff.
Right. And the big benefit is that we've expanded the coverage to FBS. And I think that's opened a they both kind of keep funneling into one another, the reactions and the thoughts on both of them, which is great. So the channel is tripling its performance from last month and has tripled its performance from last season. So things continue to get bigger and bigger. Sean, what is not getting bigger is my confidence in betting, and I'm going to try and get that confidence back by placing some bets on Bet Online for these FCS playoffs.
I could tell you're a true professional by how much emphasis you put on the B in betting.
Fuck you.
Okay. Well, I also like the abandonment of any possible syndication anywhere with all the swearing that you do.
I don't want to be syndicated.
Why wouldn't you?
I don't want the media to censor us. I don't want any of that.
I think you're too lazy to think of non-swear words, is what I think. That's what I think it is. You know what? I could just throw it. Joe talks about reading all the time and all the books that he reads, and I'll get to the read itself. But he's like, you should read more books. If I use a big word that's not a curse word, Joe's like, have you been reading? I'm like, no, Joe, I'm just thinking. That's what I'm doing. I'm thinking. I'm not just going through the motions, throwing shit fucking dick, piss, whatever. The boy does not want to think and talk. All right, so he just throws these words in there because that'll get me to my next sentence.
Just do the read. Do the read.
Stink. You stink. I don't want to be censored. No.
I've never been analyzed that way before. But
fucking
do the read. Do the read.
Jig is up.
Oh God! Please do the read.
Good Lord. I would like to. I'd like to shake the hand and open mouth kiss anybody that decided to take the Tampa comeback last night on Monday Night Football. What a stellar game that was! And it's so you're just watching and you're watching like some sick SOB took them when they were down 16-3 in the fourth quarter at plus 1,000 odds, and some sick SOB won a bunch of money. So
not
if
you're
one of them. No, not me. What am I? I'm a coward.
You're a dumbass.
I took a bath this
weekend.
God.
Here we go again. But
yeah.
I'm muting myself for the rest of the read.
Sure. Go ahead. Now I'll be able to get through it interruption free. Regardless, if you're wagering, it makes it a lot more fun. You can show if you got the brass clangers, you can flex them in that moment. If you think you have the brass clangers, there's only one place where you should go, and that's Bet Online. It's always the fastest and easiest way to bet all of your favorite sports. I'm not going to run through the sports again that they offer. It's all the sports. I'm tired of listing out all the professional organizations. If you're being subjected to watching the World Cup every time you walk into your living room because your roommates are fake soccer fans like I am, you can throw some money down on it. Whatever. Makes it a little bit more bearable. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure you use the promo code BLEAV, that's BLEAV, to receive your rewards. Bet Online, where the game starts.
All right. Thank you, Sean.
All right. You ready to go, potty mouth?
No comment. All right. So we've got less games to talk about here. We're at the quarterfinals. We've got 4 matchups. 4 fantastic matchups. The first one is going to be the most lopsided, in my opinion, Sean. Holy Cross has to travel to play South Dakota State in Brookings. Now, listen, Holy Cross listeners, it has been a love-hate relationship the whole time this show has existed.
Where's the love been?
It's been a hate relationship.
Okay.
I have disrespected you. You have failed and tried to disrespect me. It's not going to work. I'm better than you. Nonetheless, it ends now. The season ends against South Dakota State. This isn't a hot take. There isn't going to be some historic, heroic victory by Matt Sluka and company. This is the behemoth that you are running into in South Dakota State. South Dakota. If Georgia had to play Tulane in the college football playoff, say if it expanded to 12 teams, that is the equivalent of this. This is not comparable. It's an academic school in Massachusetts. South Dakota State does not give a shit who you are. They're going to come swinging. And they're a team that has shown against Delaware that they do not look past opponents. They're going to be pissed off that they're just on the same field as this team. Give me the Jackrabbits to cover by whatever egregious point total is being put out there, which I am going to be taking. Damn it!
It would bring me a lot of joy to watch you be wrong about this, because the hate
Suck.
relationship has been it's been a lot of fun for me to watch, but your points are too valid for me to even kind of put up a guise. It's gonna be a not fun game to watch, I don't think. Matt Sluka, very fun to watch. The impenetrable defense that South Dakota State wields will make it a long day for Holy Cross, and it's just gonna be not fun. You made it to the quarters. Be happy about that. I don't think it's in the cards. Really, David versus Goliath. That's just what it is. If you can beat David, I'll come on here on Monday or Sunday, whatever the hell it is, and we'll say, wow, you shocked us. Congratulations. It's just not in the cards, in my opinion, either. I'm trying to put it a little more eloquently than Joe did as the peacekeeper now. But Holy Cross, good run. That's what I can say. Good
Bye,
run.
Holy Cross. Bye. We're
All right,
done
that's a
here.
different way to say that.
We're done here, and I'm gonna come onto this show. If this is like a 20+ point victory, I'm gonna come on this show screaming into this microphone. An ungodly level of shit talking is going to occur. I
really think it's just one dude. In the comments, I see it's just one dude.
Well, same thing with Furman. I was talking all this shit about Furman because one guy, it was literally one guy. And I had beef with that one guy who kept accusing us of not watching the games. And I'm not watching Furman on Saturdays. That shouldn't be shocking. I'm watching the important games. I'm not really watching Furman play because it's not easily accessible in most cases.
I understand.
It's complaining about guys giving coverage to a sport that barely gets coverage.
It's also, I also don't know how I feel about our YouTube comment section becoming Reddit FCS, where fans are just battling it out and pulling up stats.
I love
it. I don't know how to feel about it. The Montana fans had a bad week in the comment section.
Wait, do you read the comments? I try not to for my own sanity.
There's a
lot. We've been getting a lot of comments lately.
Yeah, okay. I check in. I do a scroll through to see, what important information that we missed. But if it's the back and forth discourse between the Montana folks, then I'm not really reading it too in depth.
Well, I think you should be a good host and comment and interact with some of these comments, because I'm not going to do it. I think that you should, though. Would you be willing to do that?
They can comment with me at Sanderson Radio on Twitter. That's where they can comment with me.
All right. Well, we tried, guys. We tried. We tried to get Sean, but he wouldn't do it. William & Mary is playing Montana State. I believe this is one of the Friday night games. Probably should have put that information into our notes in the document, but what do you know? We're unprepared and we don't properly prep things. 5 versus 4, though, nonetheless. Look, I think I summed this up really simply in the notes, Sean. As physical and as fun as William & Mary has been, and they are a multifaceted rushing attack, they're just not as physical and as aggressive running the football as Montana State. William & Mary is almost Montana State light. And I'm not saying that this is going to be a lopsided game. I think it's going to be a close, hard-fought battle. But I think Montana State, man, the way that they looked last week in their bag with Isaiah Fonzie back, you got Chambers, Toten the Rock, and Mellett. Somebody corrected us again, and I'm never going to get his name right.
And not Mellett. Yeah.
Mellott.
I'm over it. I've been over it since the season started. And we've said Ifanze I'm over it. We're trying.
Can we get a new quarterback so we don't have to
Sean Chambers is so easy. So great.
Yeah, that Sean Chambers, we applaud you, brother. You should be the player of the year just because of how easy your name is to pronounce. But my main point here is that rushing attack and the ferocity that they have on defense. I give the edge to Montana State, especially the way that they nutted up against Weber. Like that was their biggest obstacle, in my opinion, was Weber. They nutted up, and that is momentum that will carry in this game.
Yeah, just a quick update here. I have points on this William Mary thing. South Dakota State favored by 15.5 on that Saturday game. William Mary versus Montana State taking place at 10:15 p.m. Eastern. So I guess 7:15 their time. Montana State favored by 7.5 on Friday.
Sean's going to be at the bar with it on his phone.
We'll see.
You better ask the bartender.
Sean ripped it a little bit last week, so Sean might be on a date checking his phone for the update, just to have a maybe not go overboard here. But regardless,
I really hope that you're checking your phone for the score and watching it, and it just ruins the date. I don't know why, but I don't want your date to be ruined, but I think that would be really funny if you hypothetically
how committed I am.
Well, like if you hypothetically ruined it because of FCS football, I think that would be really fitting for the show.
This game is going to be nuts. Over under set at 65.5. Okay, it's just going to be take the under, and we're not doing a whole betting show, but I draw a lot from what Vegas sets. I draw a lot about what to get from the game from what Vegas sets as lines and over unders. It's said to be 19 degrees, over under set at 65.5. Late night, William Mary's going to be William Mary's got to travel too. They're playing late for them. This is not looking good. It's just not shaping up right. And this is home field advantage. It's home field advantage. This is why every game matters. And it's a bummer that William Mary was ranked 5 going into this. But unfortunately, I mean, that is not a good circumstance for William Mary to be playing in, because they are an hour and a half south of me, and that weather is nothing close to 19 degrees out in the mountains.
No,
that's not great.
You're not getting that in Virginia. No, yeah, take the under.
Take the under. It's going to be a running battle. Montana State's going to be able to throw the rock. Obviously, William Mary is going to also. Depends on how balanced they can be. If William and Mary can, I don't know. I don't know if they can really activate that passing game enough to make it super dynamic and get Montana State on their heels. If they do, that'll be interesting. That'll make it a closer game. But you're going into a hostile environment. You're going up against and I said it last week, I'll keep on saying it, still the FCS buzzsaw. They are. They're the FCS buzzsaw. You have to step up on defense. William Mary has a very good defense. It's just going to be tough. So you have to almost lean Montana State in this game, even though I don't wish for neutral site games ever, but this game in like a dome in like Indianapolis would rule, just to see how they both.
It's not, and we have the even better scenario, which is freezing cold in Montana.
I know,
it's so much cooler.
Yeah, I gotcha. I understand. All right, well, it'll be a very fun game.
Speaking of a dome, Samford does not have to endure the cold, as they're going to be playing inside the Fargo Dome against North Dakota State. 3 versus 6. And Sean, I swear to God, man, yesterday we taped this show, and I sat here and said, we're just gonna find out after we tape the show that Hunter Lupke's done for the season.
It's just how it works.
What do you fucking know? Hunter Lupke's done for the season. Jamie confirmed that. I was talking to Jamie about it a little bit. I got to respond back to him.
Jamie, I actually been responding to Jamie. So go screw.
Wow, that's a first. That is an absolute first.
All right, jerk off. Get with the game.
Look, I will say the fact that Michael Ayers is out and Goofball McGee, who is the backup, I'm QC Goofball McGee. He was fun last week against Southeastern Louisiana, but this is a lot different green and gold team than the Lions. This is a much tougher, more hard-nosed team. And frankly, I'm frightened of North Dakota State. We talked about it before the playoffs that North Dakota State, they've been a little slow this year. They haven't felt like the same. They're not really dominating teams the same way that we're used to them seeing. And Lupke goes out, they play their last game without him and they completely dog.
They had like 500 yards on the ground. I don't know.
They're
They're unstoppable.
But it's the same shit that happens every year. And it happened last year. We talked about like, oh, North Dakota State seems a little vulnerable this year, and they're in their bag again. And Cam Miller and all those running backs, they can go to anybody. There are so many options, and they're in a rhythm. I'm sorry, Samford, but you guys are going to be in for a long freaking day playing this Bison team.
I don't know about that, man. You got Quincy Crittenden,
Goofball McGee.
Goofball McGee. I'm saying, okay, when Joe stops his sentence, I'm going to hit him with the full name perfectly, and I still stumbled over it. QC is going to be slinging that thing against North Dakota State, getting them on their heels. It's going to be air versus run in this game. It will be. But you're not wrong with the favorability going to the North Dakota State Bison. 14 degrees in Fargo. Good thing they got the dome. This is hell.
Is there a way to force Samford to warm up outside? Is there a way that they could enforce that?
That's madness. Line set at 16.5 in favor of North Dakota State. Over under set at 61. That's a little more reasonable. This North Dakota State team really showed what they were made of last week, and it's not just because they beat a team in the playoffs. We've seen them do that forever, but they beat a team in the playoffs without their best player, and then they beat a team in the playoffs in such a remarkably dominant fashion that looked like, hey, we're playing different sports. We're on different speeds. Our coaches are different. Our players are different. Our scheme is different. And you can try and stop us, and you can try to prep for us. But next week, we're either going to do the same exact thing to you, or we're going to pull out scheme number 2 that's even better. So North Dakota State just on a different wavelength this year. Not getting the national run because it's been Montana State, Sac State, and who are the dummies down south? South Dakota State. That'll be getting
dummies down south. Whoa.
Okay, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. All right.
This is the best team in the country we're talking about here, Sean.
I understand.
Don't disrespect them.
Hey, you're calling the starting quarterback of a quarterfinal led
because he's goofball McGee, man. Because his name is goofy as shit, and he's never really played before, and he's an underclassman. So he's goofball McGee. South Dakota State's earned my respect. I'm not calling them the dummies down south. Quincy Critterton's got a little work to do.
Critterton.
Continue.
It shouldn't be a D. It should be a T. Critterton, because everyone's going to say Critterton and not Critterton. That's all stinks. Samford, though, they had a very good season, and we had to start really putting some respect on their names. And I said that on the last show, so I'm going to keep on repeating myself. They're a team that I'm not playing around with. They're not a team that I'm overlooking. North Dakota State, though, unfortunately, such a good program and culture that they will refuse to overlook a team. They will refuse. I don't think it's in their bones. They're not built that way to overlook Samford. It doesn't matter to them. So Samford playing some other team, maybe you get maybe any of the other teams might have overlooked them a little bit. North Dakota State, unfortunately, that is the club that they have in their bag. If they need to chip on, they have a club that they can get on the green with, and that is not overlooking any teams ever. Other teams, it happens. All right, don't tell me it doesn't.
So, Sean, the last game, and I agree with all those sentiments there for North Dakota State. Samford.
Oh, thank you. They're very poignant.
Our last game, man, you're just trying to pick up as many big words today as possible. You're just trying to run the biggest.
I'm whooping your ass in Scrabble right now.
Shut up. Incarnate word, Sac State, 7 versus 2.
You just sounded like a dial-up monitor with you.
We talked about last week, Sean.
Yep.
We talked about last show, how Sac State has some chinks in the armor that became visible against Richmond. However, they're explosive on offense. They're allowed to have a rough first game. And I think Richmond is a little stronger than I think I was willing to give them credit for. I'm out on Incarnate Word. I know that Lindsey Scott is fantastic. I know that
I can be out on that dude and that team.
I know.
I told you who's leading that team and coaching that team, right? I'll let you get to your point.
I am so high on Lindsey Scott. I love the attention that he has brought to the FCS and a small program like Incarnate Word that guys like Robert Griffin III are talking about him as somebody who should have been in the Heisman conversation. Like legit people were bringing him up. But
RG3 is so hack.
Yeah, I know he was doing a bit. He doesn't know
He
he doesn't know shit about Lindsey
Dude,
Scott.
here's the thing. RG3 is so charismatic and fun in the booth. On social media, he's effusing with hack. Like it's dripping out of his pores. It just the oh, look at me. I'm the common man. This is my I know about FCS. I'm sure you do, and you know about quarterbacks, and you played quarterbacks professionally, and your resume is 1,000 times longer than mine. But tone it down just a hair. All right. Just do a player spotlight, maybe, and not say he should be in the running for Heisman.
Yeah. Yes.
Was that said about Trey Lance?
Yeah, he was brought up.
Mm.
Trey Lance was brought up multiple times throughout the season for the Heisman. Here's where I stand though. I don't know what the situation is with GJ Kinney right now, but it's not freaking good. It's not good, man. And I've said this a million times on this show. And until the day that this show dies, which will be the day that I am no longer able to speak into a microphone.
Okay, next Tuesday.
I'm going to say I'm going to be saying this every single time this happens. When a coach, a coordinator, head coach, whatever it might be, has determined where their next destination is, it is immediately a distraction. It becomes a distraction. There is never a positive outcome in these circumstances. There's plenty of evidence to point to that we can bring up, but I always talk back about how Lou Holtz is the one that I go to that has said in his time where he has transitioned to other schools, and it's in writing of him saying and making this point that it creates a distraction. Last week they survived. They got to the next round. But now this is a much more difficult opponent, and I think that this comes to a head. If GJ Kinney did not announce where he was going to go or even announce that he was leaving, I'd be fine with this, and I would say I would have a lot more faith in Incarnate Word. But I'm telling you right now, this is going to bite them in the ass. There doesn't need to be any further analysis. We don't need to dig deep on the difference in schemes and how they match up. That I promise you, put your money on Sac State, put the money on them to cover. It is a insurmountable obstacle that is now in their way.
I have so many. You said a word, and I haven't been able to think because of how you said it.
What was the word?
You have almost picked up a Jamaican dialect here.
What?
Where you're respecting the I, where you're replacing the IMs with EMs. Immediately is what you said. I'm gonna leave the team immediately. Immediately. I'm gonna cause problems for Im staff. That's what I've got. That's. I'm sorry. I
might have just had my best 2 minutes.
Oh, it was stellar.
This
I got to give it to you. That's clippable. It's stellar, passionate.
That was
concise,
some of my best 2 minutes
strong.
that I've done as a host. And like when I'm in my bag, I know I can do better than that. But that was some of my best 2 minutes. And the fact that you just like yanked the wheel off the side of the road, and we're just tumbling. We're just tumbling, man. We're just rolling and rolling. And we're in the forest right now.
I need to get my email immediately.
We have tumbled so far off the road. No one is coming to get us. We're done. I might need to end the show and tell everyone to drive safer than
I have stuff to say.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I literally, if I had this, I had to say it. Immediately is the word.
You bitch at me for pocket watching you, yet you word watch me.
Oh,
every time
am I word watching?
do something, you word watch me. You pronunciation watch me. I can't get through something without being checked. Idiot.
You Look, you've referenced Lou Holtz a lot recently, so I understood. Hey, that's the best you've ever put it for this team. I am not on the same wavelength as you, though. I'm not. I disagree. I wholeheartedly disagree. I do. Lindsey Scott Jr. is that dude. Unfortunately, For Sacramento State, they have to play that dude. And they were on their heels last week versus Richmond. And Richmond would have given Incarnate Word a run also. They would have. I'm not trying to say that Richmond would have gotten stomped out by Incarnate Word. No. It would have given Richmond would have given any team in the playoffs a run in a game. They would have. But Lindsey Scott Jr. has enough raw talent. He has enough command of the offense to lead his team to 21 points all by himself. 21 points. After that, see if your defense can make some stops. See if your coach or running backs can get you the ball in scoring positions, favorable positions. Special teams helps out. If you're going in and you get a quarterback that can give you 3 touchdowns just by making the right reads, making something happen in standard plays, that is enough confidence to carry your team. Now it's too much. It could be too much. I will play devil's advocate against myself. Well, then the whole team's leaning on him. The whole team's leaning on him. We saw what happened with Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl when he was getting sacked all the time and he couldn't get away and he didn't have a complete team. I understand. That is the devil's advocate situation of this. This is FCS football. There's more mistakes that are happening here than there are in the Super Bowl in an NFL game. If you know that you got 21 points just sitting in a bag, walking out, you got a bag of balls, you got a bag with the headphones, and you got a bag full of 21 points. It's enough confidence to get your defense to be fired up and go play Sacramento State, who has been stellar this year. They've been good. I said last week they made a lot of good adjustments, and I said they when the running game wasn't working, they were able to switch gears and say, all right, time to try throwing the rock, and we're going to scheme it up. We're going to make some plays. So kudos to them. I'm not out on Incarnate Word here. I'm not. I can't be. He's proven too much to me. Lindsey Scott Jr. has proven too much to me to be that guy.
And that's the only counter argument I'm willing to accept is the Lindsey Scott.
And the only one that you should. Everything else is baloney.
So Lindsey Scott was nominated as one of the finalists for the Walter Payton. I want to just wrap here, Sean, with talking about those finalists and the finals for the Buck Buchanan. So Tim Damarat is the first finalist from Fordham, who this season he had 4,561 yards, 53 touchdowns on 8 interceptions. Lindsey Scott from
Hold on.
Word.
What was that touchdown number? 53?
Wait.
Did you say I don't put it past? I'm not putting it past him.
Wait, this article is if we're including his playoff totals, he had 4,891 56 touchdowns with 5 touchdown runs. The Lindsey Scott total, though, for the year, not including the playoffs, is 4,185 55 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and then the last nominee was Jaden Sheridan from Monmouth, who led the FCS in rushing yards with 1,722 yards, averaging 156 per game. So he had a really huge season this year, but I don't think that one's as impressive. I think this is going to Lindsey Scott. I don't think that there's, as much as we love handsome Tim Damarat, I don't think there's much of a debate.
These are some ridiculous lines here. Lindsey Scott, 210.6 pass efficiency is above the FCS single season record. How do you compare that? What do you say about that? How many games have they played? 13, 14? 13 or 14 now? That's fucking absurd. That is an absurd stat line for that little amount of games being played. And Jason Sheridan or Jaden, whatever, in 1,700 yards, averaged 8.4 yards on 206 carries. 8.4. God, I
think it's impressive, but I still think that like Lindsey, I think that they
didn't
want to have
I think Lindsey Scott has it, but I'm just saying, give out a third, give these both of the runner-ups, no matter who, should be getting a lot of recognition and a lot of love from the FCS fans, because there's just stat lines that you don't see. You just don't, you don't, and maybe you do, and I'm not plugged in, but whatever. It's really, really impressive this year from some really good players.
As for the Buck Buchanan, our finalists are John Pui of William & Mary, Vandenberg, Zeke Vandenberg from Illinois State, and then David Walker from Central Arkansas. Vandenberg's total was 100 tackles, 21 tackles for loss, and 14 sacks. Walker,
FCS leading.
FCS leading. Walker, on the other hand, he had, God, this is hard to track, 66 tackles and 12 sacks. And then lastly, John Pui had himself 71 tackles, 12 QB hurries, and 11.5 sacks. By the way, if anyone wants to have a fun watch David Walker from Central Arkansas. The dude is a freak athlete. I am stunned that he did not enter the portal, because he is an FBS player. He is a Power 5, high Power 5 player.
Don't count your chickens. I'm sure he did. And then we just didn't.
He hasn't. Okay. I was talking to Ryan about this. He hasn't.
All right. I'm just saying, I know how this show goes. I know how it goes.
He'll probably, I think that he should. He absolutely should enter the portal.
It's a lot of talent on both ends. So it's, I don't think they missed on any of the guys. I read the lists of the guys that were close and others that received votes. But the top three on each end, I had no complaints from me. No complaints from me. Those are dudes' names that I've been seeing all year. And I'm going to keep on saying this. I go through every game and I see who stood out for Fat Stats. I do. It's painstaking. I get it. Joe hates the segment. I understand. And I would too. But I see the names that pop up consistently. Those three dudes on the Walter Payton, most names that I saw every single week. Consistent. They didn't miss with this one.
No. Great nominees, and we're excited to see who ends up winning those awards. That's going to be it for us at Joe DeLeone, at Sanderson Radio. Hack City on YouTube. Subscribe wherever you tune in. Turn on notifications and drive safe, everybody.